Without warning, an extraterrestrial species descended upon our planet, creatures whose physical appearance bore an uncanny resemblance to Earth's ants, yet possessed far superior size and intelligence. Within the first hours of their arrival, countless lives were extinguished. The global military response was swift and determined, but the sheer magnitude of the Formic assault overwhelmed conventional defenses. Their drone armies numbered in the tens of millions, creating an apocalyptic battlefield where human casualties mounted exponentially. Amidst this chaos, one individual emerged whose actions would define the course of history. Commander Mazer Rackham, demonstrating extraordinary courage, directed his combat aircraft straight toward the alien mothership's core in a final act of heroism. This selfless decision changed everything. The moment the command ship detonated, every Formic drone ceased functioning simultaneously, and the surviving alien forces perished. Commander Rackham's heroism granted humanity its survival 5 decades ago, yet peace remained elusive. World leaders and military strategists understood a fundamental truth: the Formics would inevitably return. The first invasion had merely been a reconnaissance, a testing of human defenses. Intelligence suggested the enemy would launch a subsequent assault with forces exponentially larger than before. This grim certainty unified Earth's nations as never before. Half a century of preparation followed, with every available resource dedicated to readiness for the inevitable Second War. Established with a singular objective, strategic analysis revealed an unconventional insight. Young minds possessed advantages over adult commanders in processing complex tactical data and making split-second decisions under extreme pressure. Children demonstrating exceptional intelligence were recruited from across the globe. Their training conducted through sophisticated space combat simulations designed to reveal natural commanders. The program operated under the direction of Colonel Hiram Graff, alongside his colleague Major Gwen Anderson. Each student received a neural monitoring implant, allowing continuous psychological and strategic assessment. Among these exceptional children, one stood apart. His performance in simulation exercises remained unmatched throughout the school. During one particular training session, Ender competed against Stilson, an older student with considerable experience. Colonel Graff and Major Anderson observed the match intently from their command center. Stilson pursued an aggressive strategy, relentlessly hunting Ender's vessel through the simulation. Ender, however, employed unexpected tactics, manipulating Stilson's ship between 2 asteroid formations before delivering the killing blow. The elegance of this maneuver impressed the colonel, but Stilson reacted with accusations of rule violations. When Stilson demanded a rematch, Ender declined with quiet confidence and attempted to depart. Stilson and several companions physically restrained Ender, dragging him into an isolated room where Stilson issued a direct challenge to physical combat. The confrontation escalated rapidly. Ender seized a wooden training model and struck Stilson, knocking him to the ground. Despite this, Stilson continued threatening violence. Ender's response was calculated and brutal. He delivered a devastating kick that ensured Stilson could no longer pose a threat. The entire incident remained under surveillance by Graff and Anderson. Following this confrontation, Ender was summoned to the medical facility where his monitoring device was extracted, signaling his apparent dismissal from the program. The news devastated him. Returning home, Ender confided in his elder sister Valentine, who alone among his family truly understood him. She explained that his actions constituted legitimate self-defense and predicted Stilson would never trouble him again. Her words brought Ender comfort. Valentine remained Ender's emotional anchor, unlike his older brother Peter, who harbored deep resentment toward Ender. Peter's own violent tendencies had resulted in his expulsion from battle school, and he constantly undermined Ender's confidence, insisting he lacked the qualities necessary for command. That evening, as Ender's family watched news broadcasts, a military announcement revealed that deep space surveillance had detected massive Formic preparations for renewed war. The alien armada gathering in deep space exceeded the previous invasion force by a factor of 10. Humanity's window for preparation was closing. In the midst of this broadcast, Colonel Graff and Major Anderson arrived at the Wiggin residence. They briefed Ender's parents on the school incident, and Major Anderson questioned Ender directly about his violent response. She acknowledged his initial strike as self-defense, but pressed him on why he continued the assault after Stilson was already defeated. Ender's answer was delivered with unwavering confidence. The first blow achieved immediate victory, but subsequent strikes ensured permanent deterrence. His strategic thinking impressed Colonel Graff, who stood and formally congratulated Ender on graduating from battle school. The announcement shocked everyone present. Graff explained that Ender's comprehensive approach to defeating enemies, ensuring they could never threaten him again, demonstrated the ruthless strategic thinking required of a true commander. He extended an invitation for advanced training, which Ender accepted with pride. Farewells were exchanged with his family, particularly Valentine, before Ender departed with the colonel. They traveled to the spaceport, where a transport vessel awaited, filled with other exceptional students. The craft descended beyond Earth's gravitational influence, eventually docking with an enormous orbital station. Ender and his fellow recruits entered their assigned quarters, each bed accompanied by a locker containing specialized combat suits and training weapons. Their orientation was conducted by Sergeant James Dapp, who immediately established the rigorous expectations. They had 5 minutes to don their suits before training commenced. Dapp led them to a chamber where Colonel Graff waited, explaining that beyond lay the battle room where all combat training would occur. Using a wrist-mounted control device, Graff opened the battle room entrance. The chamber was spherical, with triangular defensive barriers positioned throughout and an opposing gate at the far end. Graff explained that artificial gravity existed only in the preparation area. Upon entering the battle room, students would train in complete weightlessness. The sensation of zero gravity proved challenging initially as he struggled to maintain control, colliding with several barriers before stabilizing. Other students followed, all experiencing the unique environment with excitement. Ender encountered another recruit named Bean. During their conversation, Ender experimentally fired his training weapon at a barrier, producing a harmless beam of light. He then requested Bean fire at him. The shot caused Ender's suit instantly tighten and freeze in position, though without causing injury. Shortly thereafter, Graff used his control device to remotely organize all students into formation. He explained the fundamental training exercise: team-based combat games. 2 teams would enter from opposing gates simultaneously, attempting to score points by targeting opponents with their weapons. Limb hits earned minimal points, while torso hits scored maximum points and completely incapacitated players. Victory went to the highest scoring team, unless a player reached the opposing gate intact, which resulted in immediate victory, regardless of score. Sergeant Dapp elaborated on tactical considerations. Teams must simultaneously defend their own gate while attempting to penetrate enemy defenses. Once the rules were clear, intensive training began. The regimen proved extraordinarily demanding. Students received minimal sleep, enduring endless hours of combat drills. Classroom sessions focused on Formic planetary environments and alien psychology. Physical combat training maintained their aggression and warrior mindset. Daily video analysis sessions examined historical Formic battle tactics, searching for patterns and weaknesses. Months progressed, with Ender consistently demonstrating exceptional performance. His natural leadership emerged as he assisted struggling teammates, earning their respect and loyalty. They increasingly looked to him as their leader. One evening, Ender discovered a sophisticated game on his personal tablet. Unbeknownst to him, Major Anderson had installed this psychological assessment tool to evaluate how he handled frustrating scenarios. Colonel Graff and the Major monitored his gameplay intently. The game featured Ender's avatar as a mouse attempting to cross a bridge, blocked by a monstrous creature. The monster presented two chemical-filled glasses, claiming one contained deadly poison, while the other offered safe passage to a fantasy realm. Ender selected the left glass first, only to watch his avatar dissolve. He immediately restarted, choosing the right glass with confidence. Again, his avatar perished. On his third attempt, his friend Alai approached to observe. Rather than selecting either glass, Ender directed his avatar to attack the monster directly, leaping into its eye and killing it. Alai recoiled in shock, questioning why Ender chose such violence. Ender's response revealed his philosophy. Following established rules guarantees defeat, but creative thinking and willingness to embrace necessary violence leads to victory. This approach shocked both observers. No previous player had solved that level so rapidly or unconventionally. Immediately following this demonstration, Ender received new orders via his tablet. A recorded message congratulated him on his talent and announced his transfer to Salamander Army under team leader Bonzo. Following directional indicators, Ender reported to Salamander's quarters where he met Bonzo, a diminutive commander whose arrogance compensated for his physical stature. Team members feared his sharp tongue and volatile temperament. Upon Ender's arrival, Bonzo issued threatening instructions. Salamander Army had maintained a perfect victory record for 6 months under his command, and he considered Ender a liability. During matches, Ender would remain at the gate, inactive, to prevent his inexperience from causing defeat. Following this hostile reception, Ender was dismissed to his quarters, where his new equipment awaited. Petra, the team's sole female member, approached Ender in a gesture of friendship. During their conversation, she explained that Bonzo's behavior stemmed from fear of failure, causing him to sideline all new recruits regardless of ability. Petra offered to train Ender privately, which he gratefully accepted. The battle room remained accessible around the clock, allowing them to practice extensively. Petra taught Ender advanced techniques for maintaining stability in zero gravity and optimal weapon handling. The following morning brought Salamander Army's scheduled match. Bonzo outlined his strategy and entered the battle room, reiterating his order that Ender remain inactive at the gate. Minutes into the engagement, Bonzo's tactics began failing catastrophically. His team faced imminent defeat with Bonzo and 2 teammates pinned behind defensive barriers. During a collision with an enemy combatant, Petra lost control of her position. Ender could no longer remain passive. Despite Bonzo's furious commands to hold position, Ender rushed to Petra's aid. Salamander Army appeared doomed until Ender noticed the entire enemy force had concentrated near their own gate. He formulated an immediate counter-strategy. With Petra's assistance, he began advancing toward the enemy, positioning his body to appear completely frozen and eliminated from combat. The deception worked perfectly. Enemy forces ignored him as they focused on Salamander's remaining active players. When Ender reached optimal range, he launched a devastating surprise attack, single-handedly eliminating the entire team and securing impossible victory. Colonel Graf, observing from the command center, was stunned by Ender's tactical genius. Even the opposing commander praised his brilliance. His mouse avatar emerged from the defeated monster's eye socket and continued forward. Suddenly, scattered flowers and foliage arranged themselves into the form of an alien being. Before Ender could process this, the alien transformed into an image of Valentine, his sister. The shock of seeing her within the game environment confused him profoundly. He couldn't comprehend how the program had accessed such personal information. Suddenly, bombardment commenced within the simulation. Valentine fled toward a castle structure, which was destroyed by the continuing assault, leaving her trapped in the debris. When Ender reached the ruins, he discovered a bridge leading to a sphere where Valentine remained imprisoned. He stepped onto a carpet spanning the bridge and approached the sphere. Without warning, the carpet transformed into a massive serpent. Ender attacked and killed the creature. During this violent sequence, his avatar radiated visible rage. Suddenly, the sphere revealed an image of his disturbed brother Peter, who declared that Ender had become a murderer. Terrified by this revelation, Ender discarded his tablet. The incident disturbed not only Ender, but also Colonel Graff, who confronted Major Anderson about the game's psychological manipulation. He argued that the assessment tool should evaluate intelligence, not traumatize subjects. He demanded an explanation for why the game was incorporating Ender's family members. Anderson explained the game's unique architecture. It connected directly to players' subconscious thoughts, incorporating whatever occupied their minds into the narrative structure. However, Ender's emotional responses exceeded acceptable parameters. Graff ordered the game's immediate and permanent deletion. At that moment, new intelligence arrived, indicating the Formics would be combat-ready in merely 88 days. This accelerated timeline intensified Graff's concerns dramatically. The Colonel immediately summoned Ender to his office and delivered remarkable news. Ender's performance in both training and combat simulations had exceeded all expectations. He no longer required team assignment. Instead, he would command his own unit, designated Dragon Army. Pride swelled in Ender as Sergeant Dapp escorted him to his new quarters and introduced him to his team members. The roster included familiar faces like Bean and Ally, combined with exceptional players from various other teams. All accepted Ender's leadership with respect. Immediately, Ender led them to the battle room to begin intensive preparation. Meanwhile, time pressure mounted as the final confrontation with the Formics approached rapidly. Senior command officers pressed Colonel Graff to designate a fleet commander without further delay. Graff remained convinced that Ender represented humanity's best hope. One night, he woke Dragon Army at midnight for their ultimate test, a simultaneous engagement against two enemy teams. Ender immediately began organizing his forces for this unprecedented challenge. During preparations, one team member sustained a leg injury, becoming unable to participate. Ender refused to be discouraged. He led his remaining forces to the battle room entrance, where they observed both enemy teams had already entered and constructed a central barrier wall using defensive shields, obscuring their tactical positioning. Simultaneously, Ender detected enemy forces concealed above Dragon Army's entry gate in ambush formation. Rather than revealing this knowledge, Ender maintained calm and feigned ignorance. At that moment, Petra arrived, replacing the injured soldier. Her presence delighted Ender, who quickly shared his complete tactical plan. First, Petra used one teammate as a mobile shield while exiting the gate and engaging the ambush forces above. The shield proved effective. Despite concentrated enemy fire, Petra remained unharmed while eliminating all concealed opponents. 12 enemies were now eliminated, but 20 remained hidden behind the central barrier wall. Next, Ender secured Bean to a rope and positioned him above the barrier for reconnaissance. When enemy forces detected Bean, they opened fire, freezing him instantly. This outcome was precisely what Ender anticipated. He retracted Bean via the rope, and Bean reported numerous additional shields and concealed enemies behind the main barrier. This intelligence allowed Ender to refine his approach. Meanwhile, the opposing team commander, Bonzo, received advice from his subordinates to launch an aggressive assault. Predictably, Bonzo chose to maintain defensive positions, waiting for Dragon Army to come to him. He remained unaware of Ender's superior tactical thinking. Ender assembled his entire team into a compact formation with Ally completely surrounded in the center. One player propelled this human cluster toward the enemy gate. Opposing forces unleashed concentrated fire, but their shots only struck the protective outer layer of Dragon Army members. Ally remained completely protected as the formation successfully reached the enemy gate, securing absolute victory. Colonel Graff and Major Anderson were profoundly impressed by this demonstration of teamwork and strategic innovation. They concluded Ender had reached readiness for the ultimate challenge, Fleet Command. Shortly afterward, while Ender bathed, Bonzo appeared. His crushing defeat had destroyed his psychological stability. Consumed by rage, he challenged Ender to physical combat. Ender attempted to disengage and leave, but Bonzo attacked. In self-defense, Ender delivered a powerful kick that sent Bonzo crashing into the concrete wall with severe force, causing critical injury. Horror-stricken, Ender immediately called for medical assistance. Bonzo received emergency treatment, but his condition remained life-threatening. The incident shattered Ender's confidence. He blamed himself entirely for Bonzo's injuries and informed Colonel Graf of his intention to resign from training. Restoring Ender's confidence proved extraordinarily difficult for the colonel. As a solution, Graf transported Ender back to Earth for reunion with Valentine. She explained patiently that Bonzo bore responsibility for the confrontation. She insisted Ender had defended himself appropriately rather than fleeing from necessary challenges. She reminded him that he possessed the potential to become a legendary hero like Commander Mazer Rackham. Valentine's words rekindled Ender's determination. He returned to space with renewed purpose. His final training phase would not occur in the battle room. Instead, he would train at the International Fleet Advanced Command Base, located on a planet in proximity to the Formic homeworld. Success in this phase would result in his appointment as Supreme Fleet Commander. Colonel Graf, Ender, and the crew embarked on this journey in hibernation pods. After extensive travel, they arrived at their destination. The planet's surface was covered with massive, sharp geological formations. The base itself was constructed within one of these structures. Ender inquired about the planet's unusual characteristics. Graf explained that its discovery occurred 27 years prior, when Formic forces occupied it as a military installation. The pointed formations concealed underground Formic nesting complexes. Human forces had expelled the aliens years ago, forcing them to retreat to their homeworld. Since that time, the base served as a surveillance outpost, monitoring all Formic activities. Ender questioned the logic of continued conflict. If the Formics had been contained on their homeworld without attacking Earth for half a century, why pursue further warfare? Graf's response echoed Ender's own earlier philosophy. Absence of current attack doesn't guarantee future safety. He quoted Ender's own words about permanently breaking enemies to prevent their resurgence. The enemy required complete elimination to ensure they could never threaten humanity again. The atmosphere was breathable, but oxygen levels fluctuated unpredictably. Any excursion beyond base facilities required portable oxygen equipment. Ender soon fell into exhausted sleep. Morning brought a shocking discovery. Upon waking, Ender recoiled in fear at the sight of a man sitting in his quarters, observing him. The stranger's face bore elaborate tattoo patterns. Nervously, Ender demanded identification. The man replied simply, "Mazer Rackham." Shock rendered Ender speechless. Rackham smiled, asking whether Ender had believed him dead. Recovering his composure, Ender stood respectfully and expressed honor at meeting the legendary commander. However, he noted that all training videos depicted Rackham sacrificing himself by crashing into the alien command vessel. How had he survived? Rackham led Ender to a viewing station and displayed the complete, unedited footage. The video revealed Rackham ejecting from his fighter mere seconds before impact, parachuting to safety as the alien ship exploded. His survival had been deliberately concealed to transform his actions into an inspirational sacrifice for future generations. Ender then asked the crucial tactical question. How had Rackham known that destroying the command ship would neutralize all other Formic forces? Rackham explained his reasoning. Observing the Formics' ant-like social structure, he hypothesized they functioned like terrestrial ant colonies dependent on a queen. When the queen dies, worker ants cease functioning and perish. He gambled that the alien command vessel housed their queen. The gamble proved correct. With the queen's death, Every Formic drone stopped operating, and without command structure, the remaining aliens collapsed and died. Rackham continued his briefing. Current intelligence indicated the Formics were again preparing for war from their homeworld, implying multiple queens now existed. Destroying these queens would result in total alien extinction. He then led Ender to the training facility, where Petra, Bean, Alai, and 2 additional exceptional students awaited. They would train under Ender's command. The facility was a sophisticated simulation chamber surrounded by computer systems, with numerous officers observing from below. Suddenly, the environment transformed into immersive virtual reality. Rackham displayed live reconnaissance footage showing current Formic activities. He explained that despite their alien nature, Formics shared human vulnerabilities. They required food, water, and could not survive extreme temperatures. Their homeworld's intense heat forced them underground. However, their population expansion had exceeded available resources and living space, particularly water. This scarcity drove their search for colonizable planets. Any water-rich world became a target, making Earth their primary objective. Rackham stated emphatically that humanity must strike first, eliminating the Formics before they could claim Earth. He explained that actual combat would commence in 7 days. During this period, Ender would train through combat simulations. Performance in these simulations would determine his worthiness for command. He must approach each simulation as genuine battle. Rackham activated the virtual reality system. The chamber transformed into open space, revealing enormous Formic capital ships surrounded by millions of combat drones. Alongside these forces appeared a devastating weapon, the Molecular Destruction Device, abbreviated as MD. Rackham explained the tactical structure. Ender's team would control supporting drone forces while Petra operated the MD weapon. Each MD discharge possessed destructive power equivalent to 10,000 atomic weapons. Petra had received specialized training in its operation. Ender's objective was straightforward: develop strategies to position the MD within effective range of targets. Once positioned, Petra would fire, and the device would automatically annihilate all enemy forces in a single strike. With this explanation complete, the first simulation level commenced. 3 Formic capital ships appeared, extracting water from a planetary body. Under Ender's tactical direction, his team efficiently destroyed all 3 vessels, completing the first level. Colonel Graff and observing officers were impressed by their performance. Subsequently, Ender and his team trained relentlessly through increasingly difficult simulations. They received minimal rest between sessions. The following engagement dramatically escalated difficulty. Enemy numbers increased exponentially, completely surrounding Ender's forces and preventing recovery. The Formics destroyed Dragon Army entirely, resulting in total defeat. Rackham responded with harsh criticism of Ender's performance. Ender explained that his team's exhaustion from days without proper sleep had compromised their tactical focus, causing the failure. Rackham accepted this explanation. Colonel Graff then informed Ender that the following day would present the simulation's final level. Only by achieving victory in this ultimate test could Ender earn his command position. That evening, Ender met with his team, and for the first time in weeks, they received adequate rest. The next morning, Ender and his team prepared for the final simulation. Colonel Graff and numerous senior officers gathered to observe this decisive engagement. Rackham explained that this level had been designed to replicate the Formic homeworld environment precisely. The simulation commenced. The scale of enemy forces exceeded anything Ender had encountered previously. The sheer numbers made even Petra's MD weapon seem inadequate for complete elimination. At that critical moment, Ender realized the strategic truth. All Formic queens existed on the planet itself. Thinking rapidly, Ender issued radical orders. All personnel would abandon their vessels and utilize their drones to create a protective formation around Petra's MD ship. His team executed these commands immediately, forming a defensive barrier around the MD. Ender then directed Petra to pilot the MD directly toward the planetary surface. Petra navigated through the massive Formic swarm, advancing toward the target. The protective drone formation maintained continuous fire against attacking enemy forces. However, Formic drones destroyed human drones at an alarming rate, and Petra's survival seemed impossible. At the moment of maximum crisis, Petra achieved targeting parameters. She activated the MD weapon, firing directly at the Formic homeworld. In one apocalyptic instant, the entire planet ignited, becoming a burning sphere that incinerated every Formic queen. With the queen's deaths, all remaining Formic forces simultaneously expired. Initially, Ender and his team celebrated their simulation victory with joy. Then they were shown an actual image feed of the Formic homeworld. They witnessed the planet's complete destruction, transformed into a blazing inferno. Colonel Graff approached Ender and delivered stunning words. "Commander Ender, humanity owes you profound gratitude. Through your actions, you have eradicated the entire Formic civilization." The ground seemed to vanish beneath Ender's feet as comprehension dawned. The final battle he and his team had fought was not a simulation, but actual warfare. Understanding this truth devastated Ender completely. He confronted Colonel Graff with new insight. The Formics had not been preparing offensive operations. They had assembled defensive forces following humanity's invasion 50 years prior, when they attempted peaceful colonization of Earth. Humanity defeated them, located their homeworld, and spent decades planning genocide. The Formics never intended renewed aggression against Earth, yet humanity had annihilated them entirely. Graff responded pragmatically. The Formics would have eventually attacked. By destroying them preemptively, humanity secured its future. He insisted Ender would be honored globally as the war's hero. Ender replied with anguish. He was not a hero, but a mass murderer. Attempting to leave, Ender was physically restrained by Graff's security personnel, who rendered him unconscious and confined him to quarters. Later, Petra remained at Ender's side as he recovered. During his unconscious state, Ender experienced visions connected to the psychological assessment game he had played months before. In this vision, the alien creature that had previously transformed into Valentine moved toward castle ruins. Abruptly, Ender awoke and rushed from the base without explanation. Petra donned oxygen equipment and pursued him. She found Ender staring at one of the planet's pointed geological formations, which bore perfect resemblance to the ruined castle from his game vision. Ender suddenly understood. The Formics possessed psychic communication abilities. The assessment game, designed to respond to players' thoughts, had been receiving psychic transmissions from the Formics themselves. They had been attempting to communicate warnings through his subconscious mind, creating scenarios within the game to alert him about the impending conflict. But Ender had failed to comprehend their message in time. Without hesitation, Ender entered the geological structure. Inside, he discovered a bridge and sphere matching those from his game vision exactly. He entered the sphere immediately. Within, he found a Formic egg in a developmental stage. As Ender reached toward the egg, a Formic creature appeared and drove its razor-sharp appendages into Ender's neck. But Ender showed no fear. Instead, tears of profound regret streamed down his face. Observing this emotional response, the Formic released him. Through psychic connection via Ender's thoughts, the alien communicated that the egg contained a developing Formic queen. Ender made a solemn promise to the dying Formic. He would protect the egg and search for a suitable world where their species could be reborn. Ender's absolute determination proved impossible to oppose. Even Colonel Graff ultimately bowed to Ender's insistence. The colonel bestowed upon Ender the rank of admiral and authorized use of a spacecraft. Carrying the precious queen egg, Ender departed in that vessel, beginning an interstellar search for a new homeworld where the Formic Queen would emerge and rebuild her civilization from its beginning. If this story captured your imagination and held your attention throughout, please show your support by subscribing. Your subscription enables us to continue creating content like this. Thank you for watching.